What is up, guys? Killchain here. We finally have the Warrior Talents. World of Warcraft Dragonflight has been unfolding its alpha progress as it goes along each week. We're now into Val Draken as the zone that you can test, but more importantly, we actually have our hands on the Warrior Talent tree. Still no alpha, feels sad, man. But the bright side is we get to finally look over some of the Warrior stuff. I've had a little bit of a dabble, sort of seen some and heard some things, specifically like we get stances back, question mark? It's going to be interesting, so we're going to have a look. This is going to be a preliminary overview. We're going to go through the talents and basically sort of get that first off impression. And then I want to like come up with some pretty cool build ideas of what I think could work quite well. So without further ado, fuck it, let's just jump right in. Let's go. All right, first of all, we're going to have a look at the primary warrior tree on the talent tree, sorry, on the left. We know we're getting our stances back, so let's have a quick read over. Obviously, this is all subject to change anyway. Let me just get some drink of water. So, I've been mad sick these last, basically the last week. And I'm finally starting to come good again, and it feels good to be able to actually drink and eat. Now, the first thing I noticed is we obviously have an internal cooldown, so I guess you could be stancing, but it's a 3-second cooldown. It's not too bad. It means you can't do any of those weird kind of swap to a stance, do an ability, and then swap back. I have a feeling, and from what I've heard, these aren't stances based requiring abilities to be used in said stance. It's just random buffs, basically. So you pick which buff you want at a time. So, Battle Stance gives this crit chance. 3% isn't much, but early on in an expansion, when secondary stats are quite low, comparatively to the end of an expansion, this would be quite helpful, right? Having an opportunity to get a 5th extra in critical chance versus, you know, a 12th extra is obviously monumentally different, and also reduces the effectiveness of movement impairing effects. Okay, cool. So that's going to be kind of good if there's ever slow mechanics up against a mage, things like that. Defensive stance reduces all damage you take by 20%, but then all damage you deal by 10. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that's how it functions, very similar to at the moment if you talent it. If you're in arms, so obviously every aspect gets, every group gets this now. So whether or not you're arms warrior or not, at least you have the opportunity to get to defensive stance. I think they've switched the percentages as well, because I'm pretty sure it used to be you take 10% reduced damage, or it used to be 20 and 20. You take 20% reduced damage, but you also deal 20% reduced damage. But that was a bit too brutal. I like the 10%. I'm not sure how it stands at the moment, but either way, cool, at least we got that again. I think that's better. Across the board, it's tangibly just way better than it was, because we actually get it on any spec rather than only on arms. On prot warriors, obviously, they're just laughed at the moment anyway, so yeah, cool. Berserker stance, alright. Increases auto attacks by 5%, okay. That seems a bit weird. I'm curious how that's going to go as a build. Initially, I don't like the Berserker stance dealing with auto attacks. And then the reduced effect, okay, fine. The difference with that as well is we always ran with Berserker Rage anyway. And while Berserker Rage is obviously got a cooldown, and it will help outside of that. Yeah, it makes you immune to it. It's a 1-minute cooldown, but you never really needed it that much outside of that, because you always get like sapped or something. And then, sure, fear might come in. I don't know, that's just something, I'm feeling a bit lackluster on the Berserker stance at the moment, but I did notice Berserker Rage, so just as it stands at the moment, cool, it breaks it and makes you immune for 6 seconds, happy days. Siphoning, it's only 1 talent, so leech by 5%, pretty cool. Then, ooh, okay, choice node in the defensive line, we have intervene and second wind. I actually miss second wind a lot, so again, giving this as an opportunity to any warrior, really cool, I actually like that a lot. It's going to be good for peels in PvP if you ever get a chance to like kite a bit better. 6% every second is kind of like beast mode, it's ridiculous. Great for outdoor content as well if you're just kind of cruising around, faffing about. Intervene's really strongly. I always love intervene, and again, having that on any warrior if you so choose is always pretty handy. Rallying Cry, I mean, that's going to be a raid staple in terms of a raid cooldown, as well as yeah, I mean, just any group scenario. Rallying Cry is always going to be a big pickup. It does only say 15% temporary maximum health. I feel like, I hope there's other, yeah, in additional 25%, okay. You're basically forced to pick up the 2, like you're guaranteed to. If you're picking up Rallying Cry, there's no way you won't be doing Inspiring Presence as well, because you want the extra health. Like, 40% seems manageable, right? Whereas, actually, yeah, no, it is 40%. 40% is doable. I can handle that. Whereas 15% is fuck all to even write home about. That's just ridiculous. Movement speed, 5%, very handy. That's going to be pretty strong. Double time, cool. We got that one back. Very handy and very good. Good and handy, can confirm. Oh, this one looks new. So Stormboat, standard, do our stun for 4 seconds. Cool, happy days. Titanic Throw, I have not seen this one yet. So throws weapon at your enemy, causing blah 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 physical damage to it, and 5 nearby enemies. High threat, okay. That's really cool. So we have like a ranged AoE, not taunt, but ranged AoE threat generator. So that's pretty cool. I actually quite like that. Not fucking bad. 10 out of 10, let's go. I have heard that prot warriors are shaping up to be fucking unreal, so I'm actually quite excited to see how prot shapes up. So time will tell, we'll see how we go. So yeah, we've already done the intervene, so heading back down this way. Spell reflection, cool, standard. Berserker shout, wait, Berserker rage, and we've got Berserker shout. Okay, that's also a 1 minute cooldown. Does that mean you get both, or does it replace it? Because they're both identical. It's just go berserk, removing and granting immunity for fierce up, blah 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 blah. Oh, I actually feel like I remember vaguely seeing the notes on this. Apparently this is just where it removes it for party members as well. I mean, that's handy. It's basically a tremor totem, right? So more group utility is pretty handy. I don't like, what would be cool is if it didn't just do fear. If it breaks any incapacitate or anything like that and grants immunity to your party for 6 seconds, very cool. Whereas if it's just the break, I don't know how to go, but I actually see a fair bit of potential in that. I think that's pretty good. All right, late, cool, fine. A lot of baseline abilities have me quite nervous. Like, I know they're naturally probably going to get picked up as you pick whatever progression you want to go. But the fact that so many like core abilities are just thrown into the talents now that you kind of like, hey, this was an ability as standard that you were going to pick up, but not anymore. You got a talent for it. Like, it makes me nervous, but time will tell. We'll see how we go. Home reflexes, cooldown a pummel. Oh, that's big. I mean, the overpower, shield slam, and bloodthirst are literally just your 3 main abilities of what spec you play. So bloodthirst for fury, shield slam for prot, and overpower obviously is big in arms, but the pummel is the main thing that I'm quite excited. Reduce cooldown on the old interrupt is always handy. That's the Titanic Throw, we already saw that. Intimidating shout, cool, happy days. Impending victory and piercing howl, okay. So AoE crowd control versus the self-sustained. The impending victory is actually so strong as well. A 25-second cooldown of a 40% max health heal is actually super underrated. Maybe it's like more in the circles that I just don't know and most people don't seem to run it. But whenever I'm inspecting people and checking out different builds online and whatnot, it really, yeah, I'm surprised at how little use you see impending victory have. Is super strong. Really decent cooldown, especially for Mythic Plus. As you start pushing higher keys, it just gives you a bit more safety net, right? And it helps you heal out. Damage of bloodthirst and slant cool, just generic increased damage. Sure, we'll take it. Seismic reverberation. So if whirlwind, or if you're in protection in your revenge, okay, so whirlwind or revenge, hits 3 or more enemies, it deals an additional time, or hits an additional time for 50% damage. Okay. I mean, all it's saying is literally just your whirlwind does 50% more damage. That's the easiest way to just take that. Sure, there's little intricacies, like maybe if there's a on hit proc chance thing, then you're technically doing an additional hit, so therefore double the chance of proccing whatever it is we're talking about. But basically in layman's terms, it's just 50% increase. I guess you might end up picking that up as you go down a certain tree. Cool, I'll take it, why not? Shattering Throw, super good. Very rare in PvE though, that's mainly a PvP pickup, honestly. Super rare to find Shattering Throw have any use whatsoever in PvE. So it's probably going to be picking up Bounding Stride if you went that way anyway. The reduced cooldown is huge, and then yeah, same as standard as it is at the moment, where you get the increased run speed. War Machine, auto attacks generate 50% more rage. I mean, it still sucks basically, let's be real. It's been a bit of a shitter of a whatchamacallit for a while. But I mean, it could be quite synergistic with, again, I've had a cheeky little brief overlook at stuff. There is a single-minded Fury build that I can't wait to kind of have a look at that might lean towards super strong auto attacks. We'll see how we go. Yeah, time will tell. Cacophonous. I have no clue how to pronounce that. But increase 20% more damage before breaking on the intimidating shot. K might end up being quite cool in Mythic Plus, honestly, for a words, English. The only thing I don't like about Intimidating Shout is because I liken it to like Blinding Sleep, for example, for Frost DK. Super cool. Like Blinding Sleep, DKs get a nice handy little interrupt. It's very similar to the Paladins one as well, the Blinding Light thing. I think it might only be for Pro, I'm not 100% sure. But the whole point was it disorientates people around you. I wish that's what Intimidating Shout did as well. But the problem is, targets are disorientated for 8 seconds. Perfect, that's fine. And then you can do a certain amount of damage before they break. Cool, that's all good. But it causes a current target to cower in fear. Perfect. But the additional other targets around them have to flee. The fleeing part's the problem. I don't understand why they still can't just make it so the Intimidating Shout does exactly what Blinding Sleep does, where you literally just run around dazed and shit for a bit. Because that would just make the risk of accidentally pulling more mobs so much more refined. I think that would be an easy win, an easy dub for Blizzard to just tweak it so that way all of them cower in fear where they stand. I don't know if it's going to require too much to make them, I don't know, like run a little bit away then stay rather than running like the full distance, but changing Intimidating Shout to do something like that would be really cool. Thunderclap, again, this is one of those core abilities that become a talent that make me just go, oh, it feels weird that I might not ever see this again unless if I specifically pick it up. I don't see that much use for it in Arms and Fury, to be perfectly honest. Would use the movement K, yeah, I mean, I just don't see a scenario where you wouldn't ever pick this up except for when you're pro, basically. So I don't know, we'll see how we go. We've already looked at that. So we have Rend and Painting Gain. Rend, again, is probably more of a prop slash arms probably sort of a deal. I don't see it really being picked up in Fury too much. I'm actually quite curious to have a look at arms, to be fair. Painting Gain, when you take damage, heal for cool, yeah, every 10 seconds, so you're always going to get a little bit of something back. Really good sustain, huge in PvP. I think Painting Gain is going to be a PvP standard pickup. We have Massacre, so just as it is now, perfect. Massacre is probably going to be highly sought after, to be honest. Armor to the Teeth, cool. Gain extra strength equal to the armor value, sure, why not? Okay, this is the big one, Blood and Thunder. I actually cannot wait for this. This is really important. The fact that you can split your Rend and finally spread that around again to the nearby targets, that's going to be really cool. It does have a choice node with Crackling Thunder, which is a bit of a shame because obviously these should be just baked into one, in my opinion. But hey, that's just me. I think Blood and Thunder is going to be more of the pickup commonly rather than Crackling Thunder. It's just a bit of a shame that you have to pick between the two. It's kind of, yeah, stabbing the dick, so to speak. Damage, Shield Slam, and Slam increased by 25%. Again, big, but kind of like just K, extra damage, and sure, why not? Extra Rage is going to be pretty important as well, especially if you are running more of an auto attack build and you've got a higher amount of rage incoming. I think you'll find this is heavily used for a single target build. Sorry, not single target, for a single-minded Fury build, whereas probably not as prominent for Titan's Grip. I just don't see Titan's Grip overclocking their rage as much as single-minded, sorry. We'll see how times goes. I mean, sure, I could be completely wrong, just from my experience. That's what I reckon will happen. Frothing Berserker, it's basically a mandatory pickup as you start pushing down below the lines, so you're just naturally going to have a chance that your Rampages, essentially, will start netting you back some extra rage, and it makes it cost a little bit less as well, so perfect, cool. We'll take it, why not? Now, one-handed Specialization increases your leech, so all told you could get a decent little bit of leech here. It is a bit weird that you have to, like, such a weird leech being one of the chosen talents, like to pick between the two. Dauntless Duelist. That sounds like a fucking thing. Marks as adversary, deal 30% more, so very similar to what I think is the Duelist thing for Venthyr at the moment. In the conduit tree line thing. You deal 3% more damage to them, they do 1.5% less to you. You may have only one adversary at a time. I mean, sure, I mean, it's gonna be handy, but just seems a bit lackluster, honestly. Double Swords, and again, another paramount defensive cooldown. Now, Cruel Strikes increase crit chance again. So if I recall that from, there was something else. Oh, the battle stance, that's right, 3% there. Then you could pick up another 4%. So that's already 7% crit chance just from talents. And that's not including any of the talents on the other side. This, yeah, we're going to get a lot of cool stuff like that I actually think puts us in a pretty good light as a start of an expansion. And then hopefully by the end, I mean, it all just compounds on itself, so. Reinforced plates increases armor by 30% of your strength. Awesome, super cool, very, very cool, especially if you got that. So wait a minute, your armor is increased by your strength, and then that is in turn increased by your armor. Do these two like work together? That'll be very curious to see. Endurance training, cool. More stamina, standard, just cool. Here, have some shit. Free haste again. We're getting a lot of secondary stats just given to us as freebie stuff, which is kind of cool because again, this all compounds if you're a human, right? Because you get an extra 2% from haste from tangible items. So if an item's giving you 10, but then that is increased to 12 because of this haste, then that's again 12 should be increased by the 2%. So it's at least additive. I don't think it's multiplicative, but it should be additive at least. So hey, it's all extra stats, right? So we'll take it. Next line down, again, more dual specialization, so you do more damage dueling. Yeah, cool, that's fine. Thunderous Roar, which is basically what the old Dragon's Roar is. Again, I think I feel like they're moving away from the whole dragon theme now that we actually have a Drakthir with an evoker, an actual real dragon. So cool, fine. Of course they're going to do that. It is what it is. So Thunderous Roar, Roar explosively, frontal cone. Okay, so it is slightly different than Dragon's Roar because it never used to be a frontal cone. It used to be actual AoE, and it causes bleed. Cool, so some physical damage there. All right, I'll take it. And then Thunderous Aftershocks. The Roar knocks enemies down and causes 2 Aftershocks that deal with 50%. Yeah, okay. And each Aftershock generates an extra. Ooh, that's kind of cool. So this is almost very similar to like a frontal cone Night Fae sort of a aftershock, if you get the idea. I think that's what they've sort of baked it into, because it sounds basically exactly as Night Fae is currently. And then where you have the conduit for it, it'll obviously do its shockwaves. So pretty much all exactly how it is there. So we can still pick up shockwave as an actual AoE stun, which I guess would be kind of cool. And that also has cooldown reduced to 15 seconds if you hit multiple targets. Perfect. I mean, a 30, what is it? 30? No, it goes to 25. 25-second cooldown on an AoE stun's pretty cool, as long as you're in that AoE environment. So not too shabs, don't mind it at all. Bitter immunity restores 20% health instantly and removes all disease. But ooh, that's really cool. We've always struggled with dot pressure, so that's going to be quite big for oh, pardon me, for PvP. Post edits. Problem I see, I mean, 3-minute cooldown's kind of big on that. That's quite large. Maybe 1 or a 2 minute or 1.5. 1 minute's probably a bit too insane. 1.5 to 2 minutes, not 3 minutes. That's way too long. Again, just my opinion, but hey. Avatars, cool, typical avatar that we all know and love. And then we have the choice. Now, I have heard about this. So Signet of Tormented Kings is in, but it's obviously a choice quite deep, and it's in the Prot Pathing, which seems a bit dumb. I think they'll end up changing that personally, but we'll see what happens. And it is a choice node, with the other one being Unstoppable Force. Avatar increases the Thunderclap damage by 50% and reduces the cooldown. Cool. So basically you would never ever pick Unstoppable Force if you weren't Protection. because yeah, it does literally nothing. Okay, sure, it is what it is. That's the crit that we were talking about. So two-handed spec, if you deal using a single, see, they word it very nicely. I like it. So increases the damage dealt when using a single two-handed weapon by 5. Okay. Is that supposed to be 5% or is it just 5? What does 5 mean? There's no percent there. Also, it says work in progress allows dual wield. Bit odd. I'm going to go ahead and assume that it's going to end up just being a, if you play arms and only run one two-handed weapon, increase damage by 5%. That's what I'm going to read it as. And the whole allows dual wield thing is weird, and the fact that they don't have a percentage, so fine, whatever. Spirit of Bastion, cool, fine, we got that back in. I'm a little bit nervous about that because I'd like them to just retcon the fuck out of Shadowlands out of our game. And the fact that they have the word Bastion in there means that we have to acknowledge that Shadowlands still exist, which is annoying. Elysian Might, cool, that was always handy. And then Piercing Verdict. Again, this is one of those annoying things where like, why are you splitting the two benefits that worked in synergy with each other? And now we don't get either. So basically, do you want it to last longer and increase your crit damage while you're running with it? Or do you just want the upfront natural damage and the rage gen increase massively? Well, the whole point is you want both, and that's what we sort of get to deal with now, but now we don't get to deal with that. So I think you'll find if anyone does still run Spirit Bastion, especially in like Mythic Plus environments, Elysian Might's too good. Like 25% increase crit damage, remember crit damage, it's fucking huge. Like that's really going to pump, especially with Blade Storms and things like that. I just don't think the upfront damage is really going to be that kind of cool. In a PvP scenario maybe, if you're trying to go for a big nuke or something. But again, in a world where the rage generation is usually typically always worse off at the start of the expansion, which again, it depends entirely what build you're choosing to run. Arms has always traditionally suffered from rage generation issues early on in the expansion while our haste is low. So in that case, sure, maybe Piercing Verdict would be better. But if you're ever running arms in an AoE environment where you do want to pick up Spirit Bastion, that same AoE environment's still going to far and away better for running Elysian Might than it would Piercing Verdict just to help with your rage generation every time you drop it down. Like, no, of course not. And if you're blade storming during Piercing Verdict with the Spirit Bastion for the extra rage generation that you get from it, you don't fucking lose rage while generating Blade Storm. Blade Storm caps you out with rage 99% of the time anyway. So yeah, I just don't think Piercing Verdict will ever be picked, honestly. That's just the dumbest choice. But hey, it is what it is. Cool. We've already run through that and the Rumbling Earth and Thunderous Aftershocks. Cool. Alright, so that's the base warrior tree. Very cool stuff. I like the amount of leech you can get. And I know there's a kind of cool sneaky warrior single-minded fury build that could end up packing a punch. So with that in mind, we're gonna have a look at some fury shit and other warrior stuff. I'll go over the arms tree as well, and we're just gonna have a quick overview so I at least know all the abilities. Then I really want to run through what I think is gonna end up being quite a strong build, subject to change as always. So Bloodthirst, yay. Basically you decide to be fury warrior, of course you're picking this up. Cool, so that's fun. Raging Flow, again, a bit of a redundant kind of why. It looks like they were just needing some more points or didn't want you to get too much cool shit down here. So they just threw in these two for filler. Bit of a punch in the dick, to be honest, but fine, we'll take it. One thing I do notice though is Blood Craze increases the critical chance of your next Bloodthirst by 10%, backing up to 1 time. Why does it mention Blood Craze already? Because isn't that down here? I vaguely remember. Yeah, here it is. Okay, maybe it's just saying that it's showing that if you do pick it up, it stacks up or something. Because it's actually up to 5 times, not 1 time. So I don't understand. That's really weird. Anyway, okay, that's fine. Improved Execute, no longer cost range, but now generates. I think that's going to be pretty significant and quite big on most abilities. That's where, for example, if you're running an Execute sort of single-minded fury build, you want Massacre 100% because you're not going to be relying so much on the Rampages, but rather the yeah, just auto attacks and pumping hard. And Rage Regen, cool, standard as we expect it to be now. Increased health slightly. Sorry, increased damage reduction slightly. I don't think it's currently 30% damage reduction, is it? Or maybe it's only 20%, I'm not sure. Either way, 30% damage reduction, which is very handy. And then as usual, Bloodthirst will heal for 20%. Cool, happy days. An additional 20% health. Improved Enrage. Enrage increases your haste by 15% and movement speed by 10%. Pretty good, not gonna lie. It's pretty up there. Improved Rage and Blow, extra charges, cool. And it has a chance to reset its own cooldown. Amaze Balls, very strong, very cool. Alright, Concussive Blows. Cooldown reduced by another 1.5 seconds, and successfully interrupting will increase the damage you deal against them by 5% for 10 seconds. Very, very cool. I actually love these kind of talents. And it only occurs once every 30 seconds. That's fun. So be it. So basically every second interrupt you do. Assuming you're doing it on cooldown, right? Enrage regen lasts 25% longer and instantly heals for 20%. Pretty cool. Whereas sudden death, I mean, that's such a dumb choice. Like if you're progressing down this line and you're deciding which one do I pick up, if you can only pick one, of course you're gonna go sudden death. Like sudden death's just way too poggers. But yeah, as always, it resets its execute cooldown again when you're factoring in little things like as a part of your rotation with improved executes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, sudden death's a big pick up there. War paint, really standard kind of damage reduction. So cool, we'll take it. I am kind of curious though, because there's some cool damage reduction stuff you can run. So what's that? As a Fury Warrior, could run 30% reduced damage. Sure, you deal 10% less, but I mean, it's not nothing, don't get me wrong, but you could end up pumping quite a decent amount of damage reduction. As combine that with Enrage Regen, for example, and that's what, 60% damage reduction for a period of time while Enrage Regen's up. That's pretty powerful, especially in, again, Mythic Plus environment, right? If you tend to be a bit more of the sloppy Joe that accidentally gets hit by dumb shit. This guy. Yeah, this is gonna help you out, especially if it is, again, I assume it's additive, right? So 30% damage reduction just from those two. Throw on the Enrage Regen for another 30%. Cool, take it. Generic talent of just cool, Bloodthirst does more damage, sure, why not? Again, going down in that single-minded tree, you notice that they're pushed quite heavy away from Rampage, honestly. Because that seems more of a Titan group thing, sort of a deal. I'm not 100% sure how I'd describe that. I'm actually quite nervous that there could be some really kick-ass talents over this way that you want a single-minded Fury, which is the left side of this tree, but we'll see, time will tell. Rampage, you have to actually pick that. Again, very nervous about the whole, a lot of really core abilities are just thrown in here. Like, it feels bizarre to me that there very well could be one, someone dumb enough to not make a build, or could end up being meta, which would blow my mind even more, where you just never picked up Rampage. Like, how is that a thing? You'd have nothing to spend rage on. Like, I just don't understand. That's what I mean. Unless if there's a talent in here that I haven't seen yet that's like, do more damage when you have full rage and little things like that. Could be a little insane, just saying. Again, really weird. If you're ever picking up Rampage, you would not want improved Rampage, where you become enraged from it and increases more damage. Sure, the more damage, but it's all about the whole enrage thing, because the fact that Bloodthirst doesn't guarantee to enrage you. Yeah, it's just really bizarre. Like, of course you want Rampage to also enrage you. Like, it's just such a dumb, obvious thing. Auto attacks have no penalty to hit from dual wielding during enrage. I have no clue what that actually means. The auto attacks have no penalty to hit from dual wielding. Have no penalty to hit from dual wielding during enrage. No penalty to hit. What do they actually mean by that? I don't know. But again, if it's an auto attack build, sure, we'll take it. But during enrage, no penalty to hit from dual wielding. I assume it's like the auto attacks, the offhand has like less chance to hit and glancing blows and things like that. If that is the case, and just all of a sudden our offhand just becomes perfectly the same and normal as our main hand, that's kind of massive for an auto attack build. Like, that's just gonna blow it out of the park. Which again, even given current season 4 warrior, like if you look at the passes and shit, melee damage is still like as a Titan's Grip Fury Warrior right now, melee damage is still usually top 3 in our abilities, like sometimes top 2, honestly. So even if you were running a Titan's Grip build, if you could still pick up Focus in Chaos, and just all of a sudden your offhand two-hander is just fucking clubbing as well, no penalty anymore, that's kind of insane. So we obviously do have our Single Minded Fury, 12% increased damage and more movement speed. Yay! I actually do like the idea of being just like an auto attacky speedy boy, running Single Minded Fury. I think that could be quite potent and quite cool. But again, that Focus in Chaos with Titan's Grip, oh, I don't know, man. This could be pretty fucking cool. Blood Craze, this is the one that influences our Bloodthirst, where increases the critical chance of the next Bloodthirst by 10%, stacking up to 5 times. Doesn't clearly state it here at all. However, I'm guessing that you're not just going to be able to permanently sit at 50% crit chance on Bloodthirst forever. I assume that once you get the crit, it'll consume those stacks and then you just build it up again. I guess that's how it's gonna work. If it just goes, no, you just sit at 5 stacks and you just constantly 50% increase crit chance on Bloodthirst, that's just fucking nuts. Fresh Meat, very good talent. Bloodthirst always enrages you the first time you strike a target, and it has a 15% increased chance to trigger enrage. Perfect, cool. I like them two baked into the same thing, so not only is it guaranteed on the first hit, but it just generally has a 15% increased chance to enrage. Because that little things like that make it not as imperative to run the improved Rampage, because as long as Bloodthirst is the part of your regular routine, you're probably gonna have it up permanently. It's gonna make way easier maintaining permanent enrage uptime, sorry. So that's kind of cool. Next we have Cold Steel Hot Blood, a really cool ability from back in BFA. Bloodthirst critical strikes grant an additional rage and inflict a gushing wound that leeches health. This was massive in PvP. I remember that being very, very strong, like BIS PvP, BFA, Anima, no, not Anima, what was it? Azurite Armor setup, yeah, very strong. The gushing wound was good. So hopefully that will... I've noticed as well, there's a lot of single-minded fury stuff that has bleeds based into it. So it's all about speedy auto attacks and like just bleed damage. So that's going to be interesting. Vicious Contempt. Bloodthirst deals 40% increased damage to enemies who have under 35% health. Holy fuck balls, that's really cool. Again, as soon as you hit 35%, you're basically like bloodthirsting like a fucking champion. And then if you picked up Massacre, you're going to be executing like a fucking champion. That's really cool. All right, I like it. Frenzied Flurry requires the single-minded fury, obviously. Increases auto attack damage with one-handed weapons by 10% and an additional 10%, so that's going to be sick, especially when you are running Berserker stance. I still think Berserker stance is super lackluster, but all these little extra auto attack increases, sure, that just helps add to it, I guess. I still think that 3% crit damage is actually going to end up better than the 5% auto attack damage. I don't know, just off the top of my head, it just makes more sense that you'd want more crit chance rather than auto attack. I don't know, we'll find out. The simulation gods will determine one way or another for us, right? And auto attack critical hits have a 50% chance to enrage you. So again, even more enrage basically. So the fact that auto attacks can crit and they have a 50% chance to enrage you, that's going to be insane. Like, you're just going to always be enraged, especially between Fresh Meat and if you picked up the Rampage, because so far I don't see any other spender of rage. So unless if I'm missing something, I don't see like, unless if you picked up improved Whirlwind, it means that Whirlwind will no longer, it's gonna start costing rage again, and it causes your next 2 single target to strike up to 4 targets. Cool, so that's fine. That means baseline Whirlwind, it just does AoE damage, and it's kind of lackluster from what I can tell. So if that is the case, and you just never picked up improved Whirlwind or Meat Cleaver or any of those kind of things, does that mean Whirlwind becomes a part of our rotation again, like old school vanilla warrior? Like, I just don't know, because it feels a little bit that way, to be honest, because you might not necessarily go down into this section at all if you're running a whatsy build. Like, it just seems really bizarre. Anyway, again, time will tell. Critical thinking, even more crit chance. So again, you have an opportunity to get, what's that? That's going to be another 4%. So 12. Yeah, I'd say about 12 or 9. No, 4. That was 3, 4, 7, 11. Sorry, not 12. 11% crit chance. Just from talents already. So pretty fucking poggers, not too shabs. Cadence of pure, yeah, yep, definitely it. Bloodthirst, sorry, increases haste by 1%, stacking up to 5 times. A lot of this is where if you start going like a crazy haste build, you just auto attacks and haste, man, and just all the bleeds, like all those damage over time bleed effects that you got from like this kind of shit, Thunderous Roar and all that jazz, could actually be pretty fucking poggers. Then lastly, we have the choice node of Sidearm and Annihilator. So Annihilator is just your auto attack deal with one-handed weapons deal additional attack K, so it's just making your auto attack stronger. And then the AoE variant of it, which is where you proc the sidearm and does damage to 3 other enemies in front of you. So, okay. I have a feeling the sidearm's going to function very similar to the spikes that used to come up every time you did overpower. I can't remember what it was called, but you know what I mean. It's a frontal cone spike trail thing. So it's essentially going to be like that, where frontal cone of your enemies, you just proc the sidearm thing, whatever it is. I guess the animation for it might just be the throw an axe or something. Odin's Fury is back, which is fucking awesome. That's going to be so good. And then we have Bloodborne, which is the bleed increases, bleed damage, sorry, from Odin's Fury and Thunderous Roar, which is this one over here, and Gushing Wound, which is this bad boy here. Yep, the Cold Steel. So all 3 of them have increased bleed damage by 15%. So yeah, this build is very attacky, fasty boy, and bleeds, which I actually do like. I think that's going to be pretty cool as a Fury Warrior, because you never really thought of bleeds as a Fury Warrior, right? And then we'll have a look at these. So Frenzy, cool. Again, more haste is always handy, and that's probably going to be a big pickup. Like, you probably want both, don't get me wrong, but that will be quite a cool pickup to maintain haste levels. Again, you just want to attack fast, right? The faster you attack on one-handed weapons, the more bleedy boys, the more gushing wounds and all that shit, and you just auto attacks pummeling like a madman as well. So increased haste, again, more free secondary stats, awesome. Versatility is a bit I mean, it is what it is, but it's fine. Oh, I just noticed, yeah, crit, haste, versatility, and mastery, so basically all of them along there. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Choice node, anger management, and reckless abandon. Ooh, okay. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how strong anger management is. I actually don't think it will be that. Like, for a single-minded Fury build, I actually just don't see it being that imperative, to be perfectly honest. Because every 20 reg you spend, you reduce the remaining cooldown on recklesses again, and that just means more rampages and shit. Yeah, I actually think Reckless Abandon would probably be better because of the fact that it empowers your bloodthirst and makes it better. So, and then Depths of Insanity, 3 seconds longer. That's just, yeah, that really doesn't really do too much, honestly, anymore. Because it's, I mean, you get twice, so it goes up to what, 6 seconds? But the point is, 6 seconds still doesn't, like, the whole point with conduits is as you got your higher level conduit, it ended up extrapolating out to lasting an extra 30% longer or something like that, which was awesome. Whereas just a measly 6% longer, I just don't think it's that great. Hack and Slash, Rampage has a 30% chance to refund a charge of Raging Blow. Again, this is going to be more of a Titan's Grip deal, I reckon. Because Titan's Grip's where you want heavy Raging Blow kind of abilities that I've noticed. Whereas this one's just going to be all about, you want to be bloodthirsting the minute that fucker comes off cooldown. Whereas currently, the way that warriors play is obviously we barely even give a fuck about bloodthirst anymore. And it's just Raging Blow pummels, especially with our tier set. And go into there. So now, Concussive Blows could, oh, we already looked at that one, sorry. The improved roll, and yeah, so this is where you get your initial kind of, you can attack up to 2 extra abilities, and then Meat Cleaver, I'm guessing, will be another instead of the next 2 attacks, yeah. So it only goes to 3 instead of 4, that's interesting. I wonder why they reduced it. Weird. Anyway, so yeah, basically makes your next 2 single target abilities strike up to additional 4 targets for basically half the damage, and it makes it no longer cost rage but rather generate rage, which is going to be the big one, right? If you never picked up Rampage for some fucked up reason, then that means Whirlwind is your rage spender, which would be weird. Cruelty, while in rage, Raging Blow deals more damage and has a 30% chance to instantly reset its own cooldown. Cool, fine. Again, and I actually don't see in rage ever being an issue ever again. We've had so much cool in rage stuff here that it's pretty progress. Titan's Grip, just as we know and love it, it's basically just cool. Wield 2-handers. Onslaught, I hope that finally feels a bit better. I mean, yeah, I mean, it didn't really see much play as it is at the moment now anyway, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. Pulverize, Onslaught generates 10 more rage and enrages you for 8 seconds. I mean, okay. It seems a bit counterintuitive because it's like this is an ability that requires you to be in rage, but then by speccing into this will give you some rage, but it's obviously not long enough to last until Onslaught comes off cooldown, because 18-second cooldowns, yeah, a bit of a hefty one. And it just generates a bunch of rage for her. I mean, sure, okay. Wrath and Fury, damage done by Rage Blow. Again, this whole tree is going to be big dick on the Rage and Glow, which I don't have a problem with. I think that's kind of cool. Mastery, again, always handy for Fury Warriors. You'll notice, I generally believe that we're going to notice a single-minded Fury is going to be haste main stat and then probably crit, whereas this is going to be mastery main stat and then probably haste, with crit not really meaning too much. So interesting. Siegebreaker as normal, sorry, increased 15% for that window. We have Deafening Crash, which increases Siegebreaker's damage by 30% and its duration by 3. Okay. I mean, Siegebreaker's damage was never really that important, like who gives a fuck? If it made the increased damage done, as in like 15% went up to 45%, that would be fucking insane. The extra 3 seconds as well, okay, so what, it goes from 10 seconds to 30. I don't actually think that's that great, like at all. That's kind of dog shit, to be honest. Ravager, again, why? Like, it's a bit weird because it means that we're probably not going to be able to get Blade Storm as Fury anymore, which is a bit of a bummer. But Ravager's wasn't really that great anyway, unless if they've buffed it. So it does very similar to Blade Storm, but yeah, it's kind of a shame. And that just increases cool. Honestly, these capstone like bottom tier talents for Fury are a bit lackluster, to be honest. But hey, it is what it is. Lastly, let's have a quick check over arms. Requires its whole own section, but we'll have a quick look at arms. So we've got Mortal Strike, cool. Overpower, cool. So your standard stuff here. Buyback Training increases Slam and Whirlwind, cool. I like it. Fervor of Battle, so it's also slams. I wonder actually if arms might start going back into that Whirlwind playstyle, where you basically Whirlwind for your Fervor of Battle instead of slamming. That was always kind of fun. Cool, so then we got Fueled by Violence. Healed for 30% of your damage dealt by deep wounds. Dude, that's actually not too fucking bad. Nice. Tactician, yep, alright, cool. Rage spent on abilities, resetting the cooldown of Overpower, happy days. Improve Execute, no longer has a cooldown, and if your foe survives, 20% of his... Woo! Alright, that's cool. So this is where Execute basically becomes spammable for your arms. I wonder if there will be talent somewhere down here that will make it usable anytime. Not just like your typical sudden death, but there was also ones that used to increase your Mortal Strike damage. Mortal Strike has a 15% chance to instantly reset its own cooldown. Alright, cool. Concussive Blows, again, reduced pummel, so same one we saw before. Cool. Sudden Death, yeah, of course, why wouldn't it have Sudden Death on there? Martial Prowess, overpower, increased damage of your next Mortal Strike and cleave by 20%, stacking 2 times. There, cool, this is always fun. They've renamed it, but I can't even remember what it was called, but yeah, you basically overpowered twice and it made your Mortal Strike do an extra 20% damage. Sorry, 40%, it stacked up twice, so 2 lots of 20. The increase in damage on cleave though, that's actually kind of cool. I don't remember or can't remember if that used to happen. Oh no, I think it might have actually. This is like back in Legion time that I'm trying to remember. So for every battle, yeah, we already looked at that. Empower increases critical strike, increased damage, sorry. So crit damage increased by 20%, awesome. Skull Splitter, so this is going to be massively required for for arms, especially early on. Like, we just need the rage gen. It always was quite a bit of a bitch, to be honest. Causes your deep runes and rend abilities to expire 200% faster. Causes your deep runes and rend effects to expire 200% faster. That's fucking weird. When Skull Splitter damages an opponent, it causes your deep runes and rend effects to expire. It's called Fracture, not fucking Rain and Fire, whatever. Cause it expire. Okay. So you have rend and deep runes on a target, and then you get it for rage, but then it makes them expire 200%. So it makes it tick quicker, I guess. And that means you need to reapply them again. Yeah, okay. I mean, sure, we'll take it. Damage, deep runes, yeah, okay, so basically Bloodborne was the exact same Fury ability we had where it just increases the damage, but it does it all for the arms ones. Okay, fine. Damage from overpower increased by 20% because it stacks twice. Cool. Dreadnought, yay, awesome, 2 charges, and it causes a seismic wave. That's the one that I was talking about where it does that frontal cone thing. Cool, perfect, I'll take that. Deadly Calm, awesome. Deadly Calm is really cool, especially with some trinket procs you can pop off basically. 1 minute cooldown, so exactly the same as I remember it for abilities. Yep. 100% node rage cost. Cool. Happy days. Deft experience increases mastery. Sure, why not? Battle Lord. Your overpower has a 40% chance to reset the cooldown of Mortal Strike and reduce the rage cost of your next Mortal Strike by 15. Really cool. I actually like that. That's going to help help the flow of arms in a massive way, honestly. So that's really cool. Deep Runes, Rend, and Thunderous Roar's bleed effects last 6 seconds longer. Awesome. Combine that with the Fracture now, I kind of get it because lasts obviously a lot longer, but then you can make it tick super quick. I'm guessing that's how it functions. Fatality. Mortal Strike abilities against an enemy above 30% have a very high chance to apply Fatality. When an enemy falls below 30% health, your next execute inflicts additional 100% power per stat. Holy shit. So basically that first execute the moment you hit 30% health is gonna be fucking poggers, dude. Like, that's actually massive. I do remember reading on the forum post though that they intend that this can't crit, which is annoying. Like, I get it, but at the same time it's kind of just lost all oomph to it. What's the fucking point if you can't let us have something cool? Alright, Sweeping Strikes, cool, that's fine. Yeah, we already had a look at Sudden Death and Martial Press, so Sweeping Strikes, amazing, good AoE stuff, I'll take it. Exploit the weakness. Tactician's chance to trigger is increased if you spend 3% more rage. As if you spend 3% more change. Alright, cool. Punishment, execute is now usable on targets who are above. Oh, there we go. So that's basically the condemn version of it. I don't like that we basically don't have the shadow damage anymore, but that's cool, that's fun. Improve Sweeping Strikes, last 2 seconds longer, awesome. Collateral damage, when Sweeping Strike ends, your next whirlwind deals 25% increased damage for each ability used. Ooh, that's cool. Yeah, that could be pretty strong. I remember that ability once before, but that was quite a while ago. Storm of Swords, whirlwind costs 50% more range and has 10-second cooldown, but now deals 300%. Ooh, that could be interesting. Costs more rage and has a 10-second cooldown, but it now deals 200% more damage. Interesting. Alright. Blood Surge, your periodic bleeds have a chance to grant you rage. That's really important. Again, rage-starving arms warriors are going to be thankful for that. Blade Storm, sad. We're never going to see it again as a Fury. That makes me very, very sad, but it's pretty much all going to be an important pickup for most arms warriors. Cool, it's fun. Unhinged. Blade Storm active automatically casts total of blah mortal strikes randomly at enemies. That's pretty cool. I mean, that's what we have now as one of the legendaries, so cool. I mean, I'll take it. Sharpened Blade. Using two-handed swords or axes, your crit damage increased by 20%, massive, and your execute has an increased crit chance, awesome. And then the blunt, okay, while 200 maces or polearms, damage increased and duration of colossal smash by 30%. Oh, these are perfect abilities. I just wish they weren't tied to weapons. Like, I get the thematic desire for it, but the reason why this is a problem is, what if the raid barely has any of one type of weapon? Or you don't get that weapon and you only get blah 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 weapon, and then you're forced to run the other one, and then you go, okay, well, yeah, I can't do anything with that because I looted a two-hand sword, whereas the best in slot, you know, blunt instruments, because colossal smash is way better to have it increase by 30%. Whereas, you know, I can't run my best in slot talent because I didn't loot that particular item. That's a bit of a shame. Colossal smash, cool, yeah. Standard pick up there. We already had a look at this one. Instant reset its own cooldown. Yep, cool. So Colossal smash. Ooh, here we go. In for the kill and Test of Might. Test of Might, let's go, dude. Test of Might was so good. So yeah, increases your strength by 1% every 10 range you spent. That's awesome. What was the choice for it? Colossal smash increases your haste by yeah. Nah. In for the kill was cool and it was picked up sometimes, but Test of Might's way better. It's basically gonna shit all over it. Increased damage. Cleave, yeah, that'll be good for your AoE and running dungeons and all that cool shit. Reduce the cooldown of Cleave. Cool, I'll take it. Anger management's quite low on this one, which is kind of nice. And there's not a choice node, so you can just pick it up for freezies. I like it. And again, that's just gonna help Arms Warrior pump out what it needs to. Crit chance, awesome. Warbreaker, excellent. Places Colossal smash, yep. Skull Banner, yes, Skull Banner back as well. Dude, there's a lot of crit damage stuff for Arms Warrior. I really like how much crit damage heavy stuff they're doing for that. Because it just means that you're just slow, sluggish, and just doing big fucking pump damage crits. I like it. Exploit execute causes the target to take 50% more damage from your next mortal strike, stacking up to 2 times, yep. So that's the one that it used to be, where you'd execute twice and then do a big mortal strike. Again, this is looking super fucking nice, I gotta be honest. Nice, right. I'm pretty fucking happy with how Warrior's shaping up so far. A couple little things that I wasn't 100% sure about. I'm quite excited for a single-minded Fury build, where it's basically just gonna be super attacky, fasty, lots of bleeds. I think that's gonna be pretty fun. Even this arms, honestly, there's a lot of potential with arms as well. There's got to be potential with two-hand Titan's Grip Fury Warriors, but I think it's just so similar to what we're already running anyway that it's kind of like, alright, cool, fine. I'm quite excited. So I want to come up with a couple of different builds. We'll get our ideas flowing, and I also want to have a look at it prop war in another video. But for this one, pretty excited. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Yeah, we're gonna have to spend some time, I reckon. I might even do it on the stream, maybe tonight or whatever. We could sink easily hours into really fine tuning some builds, so we're gonna have to do that over the next few days for sure. But thanks for watching, appreciate it. Listen to me dribble shit, and let me know what you guys think, if you guys are warriors or just generally curious about how the classes are shaping up. Anything that stands out to you guys, let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.